Hello, everybody, and welcome to Whimsically Wicked, a reading duet. My name is Haley, and I'm the whimsical half.
And my name is Daria, and I am the wicked half.
We are going to switch things up a little bit today. But first, we wanted to thank you all for all of the amazing comments that you're leaving us. When you give us a like, a subscribe, it means the world to us. We are trying to respond to every single one. They're so sweet. We're glad you are liking our recaps and everything. They're great.
Yeah, it's been a really good time. There's so many cute comments. Especially as Haley dives more and more into things like Zodiac Academy.
And they're super fun for us to make too. So even a little like, a comment, a subscribe, it means the world to us. It helps us maintain motivation to keep going. So if you have a moment to do any of those things, that would be amazing.
Ready to switch things up?
We're going to switch things up. So over the last few years, Daria and I have had a little tradition where we go to every single Marvel release opening weekend for the most part, as much as we can.
Yeah, we've definitely opted to skip a couple.
But, we haven't skipped that many. We went to Madame Web.
We did. I think the only one we've actually skipped has been the Marvels.
Yeah, and I still haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it either.
Which is crazy because both Daria and I have loved the MCU, but we have also been going through the huge low that the MCU has been suffering lately.
It's been
and
painful.
We've very much struggled with trust with the Marvel Cinematic Universe as of late. So we haven't really talked about the MCU lately because of this. We did see Thunderbolts, though.
And I left that one feeling good for once. Because the discussion that had to happen after Brave New World was unpleasant.
Yeah. And you know what? Leaving Brave New World, I didn't hate it so bad, but it really didn't get me excited about the MCU again. It just felt like more of the same, and I really struggled with that. But we are going to talk about Thunderbolts today. We're going to talk about whether we think the MCU is back or not. We're going to talk about what we're excited for, what we're nervous for. We're going to do spoiler-free reviews, and then we're going to go into spoilers, and we'll talk about it all.
Yeah, we're counting comics as books. You can't really see them. There are comics in this room. They're just not on display.
Yeah. Have you read any comics to do with Sentry, Void?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
That was one out of left field for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you. Have you given it a rating yet, Thunderbolts?
No, I haven't, actually. I've been recommending it to people like crazy.
Yeah.
But I have not actually given it a rating.
I am leaning between a 7.5 and an 8.
Yeah, I think the number that immediately jumps to my brain is 8.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting too because other things that I would have rated an 8, I look back on and I barely remember the movies.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people comparing to Guardians 3, being like, oh, this was the best I've felt since Guardians 3. And I can't actually remember Guardians 3.
Oh, I love Guardians 3. Guardians 3 was with
I liked it.
Yeah.
I know I liked it, but I actually couldn't tell you the major plot points in it.
It was what's his name? The raccoon's name. It was him finding out that he was a raccoon.
Oh yeah, his little story.
Yeah, it was his story. That was his story.
That one has left my brain.
That's crazy.
But I feel like Thunderbolts is gonna stick around for a decent amount of time.
I hope so.
But yeah, no.
8 for me. I think after we talk about it, I'm going to be leaning towards more of an 8. I think objectively I'm at an 8. The thing that pulls me down is my nerves for the future.
Valid.
But we'll talk about that. Do you want to go into highs, spoiler free?
Highs. Yes.
I think Florence Pugh carried this movie like no other.
Yeah, I don't think this movie works without Florence Pugh.
This movie does not work without Yelena.
Yeah, you need her.
She put on a wonderful performance.
Yeah, which I expected from Florence Pugh. She is exceptional at what she does. I don't think I've seen any. Even the movies she's in that aren't good aren't shitty because of her. They're good because of her, but the shitty parts are everything around her.
I genuinely talked to my boyfriend 2 days ago, and I told him I would leave him for Florence Pugh.
Absolutely, I'd switch teams for Florence
Pugh.
Oh
my goodness.
No questions asked.
Oh my goodness. She
is my
wonderful.
Ryan Reynolds as the straight man.
Oh, okay.
You know? Where it's like that one person where everyone just universally agrees.
We would switch sides. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Florence Pugh, absolutely. She looked amazing in this movie, but she put on such a great performance. She put on a performance where I just believed that was Florence Pugh, and I forgot that she was in other stuff, and she's also wonderful in other stuff. I just thought that she was Yelena. She was so good.
I feel like it's going to be one of those roles that she'll just always be known for.
Yeah.
And hopefully they continue.
She fought to jump off that. So this is like first couple of scenes. There's a stunt that she does where she jumps off of a building, and she, like, the insurance company was like, "You're not doing that." And she was like, "What do you mean I'm not doing that? That sounds like fun." They went to like one of the tallest buildings that they could find where they were shooting. She jumped off that thing.
Oh, really?
That was real.
That's impressive.
That was real. They just, like, they hooked her up to this whole thing. She jumped off of it, and she fought for it.
They insure Tom Cruise for this shit.
That's actually who they referenced. That's who she referenced. She was like, if Tom Cruise can do it in Mission Impossible, I can do it here. And she did.
Impressive.
Snaps to the ladies.
Fun fact about Mission Impossible, they film all their stunts first.
Cool.
And then they build the stories around the stunts they managed to get Tom Cruise to do.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, they write the scripts after.
I've never seen a Mission Impossible movie, so is there a plot? Isn't it just, like, isn't the plot stunts? Doesn't that make sense?
I don't really watch them.
Yeah. We don't support that.
Like Tom Cruise. Yeah. But if you're gonna go to court or, like, try to convince an insurance company to insure you for stunts, Tom Cruise is, like,
totally
the person.
Yeah. So, Yelena was probably my highest high. Okay. Her and Red Guardian, I think.
Alexei slaps.
Whew, he's so good.
I love Alexei. I really love too. I'm watching a lot of content around this. I was watching this guy on Instagram and he was talking about it and he was like, people always do like playlists for characters and they're always hot garbage. Like, the Winter Soldier's not listening to Taylor Swift. I'm sorry. But you know who would listen to Taylor Swift? Alexei.
Red Guardian.
He is a Sabrina Carpenter fan. He is screaming espresso at the top of his lungs. Yeah. He's girly pop.
He's so funny.
And I love it.
Yeah. He was good. He was great. His humor was really spot on. Him and Yelena's relationship was really good. And that brings me to another one of my highs. This movie was funny. This movie was, like, not try hard MCU recent funny. It was like old MCU Tony Stark funny.
Yeah, good quips, good banter. You just, like, shot that guy and you, like, got a good joke in while you're doing it.
Yes. It was excellent. And Yelena and Red Guardian were both such a huge part of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Their chemistry for the characters they are is just so exceptional.
Well, and I think that's what has been missing, and this was missing in Brave New World as well, where MCU at its best focused on the characters. You think about Endgame, you think about Infinity War, where, like, I always picture the scene in Infinity War where Tony Stark and Peter Parker are hugging, and then Peter Parker fades off and he gets right. I bawl my eyes out during that because you've spent 13 years building up these characters for you to care about them and for their relationships to matter, and then you go into Spider-Man Far From Home, which I actually don't think was the strongest Spider-Man movie, but it was so impactful because it was right after Tony Stark had died after Endgame.
Yep.
And he was, like, trying to navigate this huge loss in his life and all of these things. Like, that mattered, and even if it wasn't the strongest movie, the character relationships mattered. I think they did such a good job in Thunderbolts. I came away from this movie caring about them all.
Yeah, like, I was like, I want to see more of all of these characters that you pulled out of the, like, trenches of Marvel's not even most recent, the last 10 years of Marvel productions, the side characters. They just pulled them in, and now I'm like, I really need more of this.
And I was so nervous about this fact specifically because as soon as I saw John Walker, who I thought was one of the weakest characters in the past couple of years, I was like, I don't know how why do I care about him now? I care about him now. I walked away from that movie caring about him, and that is insane to me.
Like, a lot, too. I was like,
you're really weird.
You're really dumb.
Yeah.
You've got no thoughts behind those eyes.
Yeah.
but I kind of want to see where it goes.
Yeah, and like the fact that they were able to redeem some of these characters from the lowest points of the MCU as of late, like
Yeah.
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. And I don't think she was the worst character in some of these other TV series, but like Secret Invasion, awful. What the heck were they doing? She
Terrible.
was in that. She was in all of these TV shows, and it's like, where is she going? Man, she was cool in this movie.
Yeah, she really played supervillain the way I want my comic supervillain to be
Yes.
played.
Yes.
Who is also the like public government official?
Yeah.
Perfect.
She was awesome. And then like Bucky was more believable this time. Like I remember in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and somebody else on the internet said this. I don't want to take credit for this, because I saw this, but like in Falcon and Winter Soldier in the TV series, he was getting like beat up by like normal people.
Mm.
And in this movie, he actually was the Winter Soldier again, and it was cool to see.
Yeah, because I feel like Marvel keeps forgetting they gave him super serum
Right?
and a vibranium arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's got stuff going for him.
Yeah.
He
And we'll talk a
shouldn't be
little bit
that
more
easy.
about Bucky and his character arc in the spoilers, but like he was cool in this movie.
Which is saying a lot after walking out of
Brave New World. I know, because that was concerning.
That was not friendly for Bucky's character development. That was a really big left hook to the face.
Right? And I think for me, the final high is that it tentatively sets me up to be excited about other projects.
Yes.
Which I have not felt in a long time.
I honestly, I've been alerted to the fact that a Marvel movie is coming out based on ads on Instagram getting pushed when the tickets become available to purchase like a month out. And I'm like, oh, I'll message Haley, be like, are you free
Did
on
you
this
know
day?
that this
We should
was
go see
coming
this.
out? Yeah, like even I didn't even know Fantastic Four date until like kind of near Thunderbolts. And after Thunderbolts is when I was really like, okay, let's find out when this is coming out, kind of thing. Like, I haven't been excited about continuous MCU projects, but right now I want to know when all the stuff is coming out, regardless of if it's related or not, because I'm like, I care about it, which is scary.
Yep.
I've been hurt before.
Yep.
The trust has been broken.
Entire phases have just disappeared into the abyss.
And I'm scared to get hurt again. So I do have some walls up, but I feel myself slipping back in a little bit.
Yeah, like I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic. They did manage to be really, really shitty for a really, really long time. Like longer than we should have let them.
Yeah.
Or been accepting of how
I
trash
don't
these
know
movies
that
have
the
been.
fans were all that accepting.
I don't know that they were all accepting, fair. But like these are still some of the highest grossing movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Regardless
Yeah,
of how
that's
good
true.
or shitty they've been.
The thing is with Marvel fans, and part of the reason why I think I wanted to talk about it too, is I have friends who refuse to go see Thunderbolts because like it's their trust is so broken.
Yeah,
And
actually.
I get it, but like I don't know that the door is closed. I do think that this was a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah. And like they're not about to stop making these movies, so we might as well just
No.
make sure our voices are heard that they should be better.
Well, and I think like it's so hard because our expectations coming from Endgame were really high. But I'm trying to think of another time that I could feel the way that I felt during Endgame. Something could be that good. And I don't think you can top it. How do you top it? How do you top Chris Evans, Captain America, with the Thor hammer? Avengers Assemble?
Yeah.
Captain to your left, portals open.
Yeah.
I am Iron Man for the last time. You don't. I get chills thinking about it. I don't know how you do that.
I think if people have expectations of them to even meet that again, it might be that might be a once in a.
I think it's a once in a lifetime.
Thing.
I think that's what makes it so special.
I think that's like because I'm gonna say Lord of the Rings is like slightly older than what would be a once in a lifetime for us. I think that would have been the lifetime before us.
Yeah.
Like, I think Lord of the Rings would have been our parents' once in a lifetime kind of thing for movies.
Okay.
Seeing that, like, book to movie adaptation to
Mhm.
that degree and that well done,
Yeah.
where they got to go see it in theaters. Like,
Yeah.
you were definitely way too young to see that in theaters.
Oh yeah, I was way too young to see it in theaters.
Whereas, like, with this one, like, that's us
Mhm.
and our generation and, like, that still
That
kind of
was such an
young
experience. Yeah.
experience in theaters. We
Yeah.
got to see that.
Going with all of your friends, dressing up, like, oh my god. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't get that again. And I don't know that it needs to be that way for anybody. It just
No.
needs to be better than what it's been the last few years. They really just lost sight.
I think I think part of the problem too is they got too big.
Yes.
Like, they had such a hard time weaving the TV shows into the
Mm-hmm.
movies and keeping you invested. Because, and this comes up with writing all the time and in books, you have too many characters. It's
Yeah.
too hard to develop all of them. It's too hard to make you care about. Like, I don't give a flying fuck about a single one of the Marvels.
No, you need to like the way that you push out content, the second that it starts becoming content, like quantity over the quality, that becomes an issue. And I think you also have to be smart about what characters you decide to dive into more. The prime
Yeah.
example of this is Star Wars Boba Fett. He
Oh,
should have
yeah.
been left at his 2.5 minutes of screen time because that's when everybody loved him the most. That's when
Forgot
everybody
about that
loved the
one.
mystery, the like all of that stuff. Everyone was obsessed with him. Why you make a TV show that sucks about him? Like that really
Takes away.
nosedives the whole love for him.
Versus you take a character like Loki and you make a TV show around him and you just increase it
So good.
because you can redeem his ass.
He's so good. But Loki's also just one of the best characters.
Yes.
What a character.
But like in the movies before that, he didn't have exactly like a lot of screen time or anything like that.
No.
But like everyone loved him and adding more time to him
Yeah.
made him better.
Such a complex character and yeah, exactly. And had like attributes that could be pulled in either good or bad direction. You never knew what he was going to do,
Yeah.
how he was going to act. I loved multiverse Lokis.
Oh, Multiverse Loki's was fun.
Yeah.
Just the whole like the TVA was a really cool
Mhm.
concept.
Yeah.
It, you
Anyways,
kind of
enough
got
about
it.
everything that the MCU did wrong. They did a lot of things right in this movie. With that being said, it wasn't perfect. There were some lows for me. I only have a couple of spoiler free ones though,
Okay.
because I want to talk about a little bit more spoiler. My one that's like nitpicky and I don't actually think affected my overall enjoyment of the movie or anything like that. Some of the scenes dragged, like
Yeah.
slightly too long.
Yeah, you could have cut them a
Yeah.
little sooner.
There were a couple of times in the vault specifically, when they were in the vault where like they were kind of just talking and they would have a really funny line and then it would drag for a bit. And then by the end of that scene, they would have another line. I'm like, oh, that's why you took so long. But also, you maybe didn't need to take that long to make that point. There was a couple of scenes like that. But I don't necessarily think it was like a wrong decision or anything. Super nitpicky.
Yeah. I think there were even as they went on to like I think a little bit further in
Mm-hmm.
like I think even like the car chase scene a little too long.
Oh, that was one of my favorite scenes.
Like I liked the scene,
Yeah,
but it was I feel like the pacing on it was a little off.
that's fair.
Like it was like a little
Mm-hmm.
slow.
Okay, fair enough.
It was strange for me.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, overall like still it was still a really long movie too. It was
Yes.
over 2 hours, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And I think like the strongest part of the movie for me was the first hour and a half.
Yep.
The ending, I liked the ending in some ways. I have some things to pick apart in the ending in other ways.
Okay.
Um, I thought Sentry looked awesome.
Yes, Sentry was one of my favorites. I think for a vibe, it was really cool.
Yeah, I thought he looked really good. I thought some of the fight scenes were cool.
Yes. Yep.
Um, and then as we got towards the conclusion, there's one thing that I really can't get over that we'll have to talk about during spoilers that like is really hindering my experience, but I also don't have any solutions to my problem. So oh well. But we'll talk
Fair
about
enough.
that in spoiler free. Any other lows spoiler free for you?
Um, I don't think so. I think overall, like I had a good time. I've watched way too much movie commentary stuff on YouTube, but I watch it from a more like technical lens.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought like the cinematography in this one was really cool. They had
Yeah.
some really interesting, long, uninterrupted shots that Marvel doesn't usually do. Usually their movies are a cut fest and a half. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't imagine being the person who had to edit that shit
Yeah.
because it's a nightmare. Even from having to edit this podcast, I was like, that's too many scenes to cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the first one where she's having like the fight scene in the hallway, that
Yes.
was an uninterrupted,
So good.
probably minute long fight
Mm-hmm.
shot, which is impressive.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, so there's some really cool stuff they did there. I liked all their scene setting too. It was a pretty dark movie, and overall it was really dark. And then you had like the light was interwoven with that in a really cool way to kind of represent Century,
Yeah.
which I really enjoyed.
The darkness with the humor was a really good balance
Yeah.
because it was really dark. You're totally right.
Yeah, like it's a very like even like there are very few times like they were driving through the desert and it was still like the
Yeah.
light in the film was toned
Yes.
down
Yeah.
to remind you the fact that this was not going to be a happy fun time.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point for another high where how it looked, it was really good. The fight scenes were not reliant on CGI.
Yeah, practical.
It was very practical. It was very character focused. You could the acting was wonderful and they really in the filming got the actors like facial expressions and how
Yeah.
they were feeling and all of that stuff, but you're totally right. It wasn't a huge cut fest. It wasn't a huge CGI fest. It was
Yeah.
just a very raw movie that I enjoyed watching for sure. It's a good call.
Yeah, I imagine most of that budget got moved to marketing.
We can talk about that
Yeah.
after because yeah, oh my goodness, marketing was real.
The marketing for this was impressive.
Yes.
Like honestly, I'm impressed.
Yeah. Spoilers?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, this is your warning. We're going into spoilers. The one thing that I think is insane that they did with this movie is 4 days after it released, they immediately spoiled one of the biggest things that happened at the end of this movie,
Yeah.
which is that the Thunderbolts asterisk, because we were all wondering what the asterisk was at the beginning of Thunderbolts.
Yeah, they
when we
even
saw the
throw
trailers.
options out throughout the movie too, what the asterisks could have meant.
I know, totally.
Which was so funny.
Yeah, it was awesome. And they reveal at the end that these are the new Avengers. Valentina brings them out
Mm-hmm.
and to kind of save her ass at this point because Sentry completely exploded in her face and everybody was about to hate her. And she was like, I'm introducing to you the new Avengers, which for the nerds in the comic books, new Avengers is actually a thing.
Yeah.
And so it made us all very excited.
It's not really them, but it's a thing.
But it's a group of people who I don't know much about these comics, but I know we were all really excited to see it. And 4 days afterwards, they just started plastering all over social media, billboards. They started taking off Thunderbolt stickers and showing the new Avengers.
Yep.
That was crazy to me.
I loved it.
Yeah, I cannot. So here, I've talked myself back from a logical way.
Okay.
The people who care about that spoiler have probably already seen it.
Yeah. And if you hadn't seen the movie by then and you cared about that spoiler, that's kind of on you.
Right?
Because,
like,
and I'm going to sound like a pretentious asshole right now,
I
these
love it when
are
you sound like a
opening
pretentious-
weekend movies.
Yes.
Like, you don't go, oh, I'll go see the new Marvel movie in like 2 weeks when the crowds get smaller. Like, this is an opening weekend
And
movie.
if you are doing that, the new Avengers spoiler
doesn't
matter to you as much. You just like you get to see like, oh, how do we get here, whatever. Like that announcement isn't going to be the same if you don't go opening weekend anyways because you're a nerd and you care about that stuff. So like
Yeah.
I can see that, but oh my god, I was like, whoa, that's a big spoiler 4 days out. But they also want people to go see this because they do have to build trust with their fans again. And
Yeah.
I bet a lot of really diehard Marvel fans are not going to see the new movies very much. So
No, and this is a good way for them to be like, what do you mean?
yeah. Yeah.
And then they're either gonna spend time Googling it and looking into it and like maybe getting persuaded. Because it's also, I don't have ratings for this movie currently, but like I'm pretty sure on IMDb this is pretty well rated.
It's got to be. Well, you find that. I just want to talk about like the initial Thunderbolts name of these people because it was like Yelena's old. I don't think that this is where it came from in the comics, but like Yelena's old soccer team that
Oh
like
yeah.
Alexei was bragging about, and he's like, and then one time a girl pooped in the middle of the soccer field, and it was so funny. And Yelena, this is during the car scene. She's just like looking out of the car, being like, "Oh my god, I hate my life."
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so
Embarrassing
funny.
dad.
So funny. And then they became the Thunderbolts. It was
So
so good. It was
cute.
so good.
It has a 7.6 on IMDb and an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got an 88% tomato meter and a 94% popcorn meter.
That's really
So,
good.
like, this is a very highly rated Marvel movie.
Yeah.
For context,
What are you looking up now?
Brave New World, my nemesis.
Yeah, that's gotta be bad.
Brave New World has a 48% tomato meter
Ooh.
and a 78% popcorn meter.
See, the difference is like Brave New World had an okay fight scene, but the shitty rest of the movie.
It's so fucking painful.
Yeah. Spoiler highs though, like back to Yelena, her story was incredible. Like the way she was going from this like she just lost her sister. Well, she came back after the 5 years, realized that her sister had died.
Yep.
She no longer cares about life. She's going through the worst time in her life. She's doing a job for Valentina because, like, what else is she gonna do?
Yeah, she's depressed.
She doesn't care. And then they find themselves in this vault where they all realize that Valentina is trying to kill them all because they're the loose ends on what Valentina's trying to get investigated for. And she kind of like inadvertently starts to create this team, and she goes and sees her dad who's like super embarrassing. And what I think is so perfect about Red Guardian and Yelena in this movie is that there was a moment where Red Guardian was talking about the childhood, and this is when, talking about the soccer team and how much like the reason that their name is the Thunderbolts and all of that stuff. And throughout the whole movie, they have these like little conversations. But towards the end, when everything is going poorly and the void is up there and stuff, they have this moment with each other. And Alexi is telling her how she used to have this light in her eyes and she used to be such a happy kid, and the reason she wanted to be a goalie on that soccer team was because she I'm getting chills right now, because she wanted to be the person that everybody depended on and that they knew would protect them, and like her realizing that and coming to terms with it, like who she is, it's just so good.
Yeah, I think they did a great job with it. I was invested in that story. You also got to see the darker parts of her past, more of them, because like there's been whole movies for the dark parts of her past, which were not good. But I think this was a really cool retrospective look at it that gave Alexi a little bit more of a human touch too, because he was definitely more of just like a cardboard cutout comedic thing.
Yeah.
In the past.
Well, and then he got to be this like father who wants to repair his relationship with his daughter, and who's also grieving his other daughter's death. And
and his career.
Yeah, I cried during that scene. I don't know if you heard me.
Yeah, no, I did.
Daria just learns
I
to
didn't
like
laugh this time.
Yeah, she was very nice to me. So I think that I think they were the strongest strong of this movie.
Yeah, I think they were the characters I wanted to see more of, because I thought about it more too, because you mentioned how you wanted to see like the shame rooms for all of them. And I thought about it more and I was like, I honestly don't care about the other characters' shame rooms that much.
Oh, interesting.
Like
That's in one of my lows. Ghost.
Her
Really?
Because like I don't even remember her backstory enough to have cared, but I remembered John because fucking sucked.
Yeah, who can forget?
And hers, because I knew it would be really tragic and sad, because their story is really tragic and sad. But like Alexi, I don't even know that he would be able to acknowledge his pain in that way. I don't think he's there yet as a person.
Yeah.
It may never be there yet as a person.
Yeah.
So it's like if you put him in the shame room, he's probably gonna enjoy it too much.
Yeah.
As like, hey, that was a good time. And then for Ghost, I was like, eh.
Okay, I'll talk about that because that is in my lows, and I'll talk about why. But super fair. Bucky got redemption. I never thought that I would have to be the one to say that Bucky needed redemption.
He really needed redemption,
But
though.
putting him as a congressman
The
at
fuck's
the
idea was
end
that?
of Brave New World was, and that scene between him and Anthony Mackie in Brave New World was actually one of the best scenes of the movie. But then ending it with like, okay, you're gonna go be a congressman. Bucky has no business being a congressman.
Yeah.
So in this movie, they were like, so he started out as this congressman, and he's got this like weird flirty relationship with Valentina's assistant that I am very interested to see where that goes, because I thought that was kind of cute. But then he ends up finding them as they're escaping the vault, and cool car scene where he like flips everything over, blows them up. He's cool, and then he's like, fuck being a congressman. Let's go. We're gonna be the Thunderbolts now.
I hope the writer that decided to make him a congressman and literally any point in this got fired for having to make them then write out this movie where they had to find a way to make him not a congressman anymore. And it still doesn't make sense.
No, because like
that is one of my huge lows for
Me
this
too.
one is like
we'll talk about it when we get to lows. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. But Bucky did get redeemed. I'm very proud of him, but they did struggle with that. We'll talk about that in the lows.
Yeah, I don't even know that they got there. I think Bucky just holds that on his own.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Sebastian Stan is incredible.
Yeah.
He's wonderful.
Perfection.
He's also like a very logical relief in this group of people because everybody else is a little spastic.
A little spicy.
Yeah, and impulsive maybe is a good word.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Winter Soldier is perfect by any means, but like he's been around for a while. He's done therapy, he's done his work, and him getting to come in and being like, obviously Yelena is the leader and the main character, but Bucky gets to be like the older brother. He gets to be Daddy Bucky in this and kind of keep them together. And I thought that was such a cool progression from where he's been. And I really like that.
Yeah, after he tore apart the original Avengers.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about Bob.
Love Bob.
Bob was great.
Bob was wonderful.
I also love all of the memes going around with this particular actor who always just plays a guy named Bob.
I know. I heard he tried to change the name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, "Can we please not be Bob again?" And they were like, "No, it has to be Bob." And he's like, "Fuck."
Yeah. I really liked the Sentry. I really liked how it was kind of this this experiment that got done on him, and we don't really know. Actually, I'll save that part for later, but he did a really good job at portraying Bob and learning about his powers, and then all of a sudden being under the wrong influence and coming up as the Sentry, who is completely all-powerful.
Yeah, he was really giving Homelander vibes.
I've never seen Homelander.
Okay, well, The Boys is awesome. Highly recommend.
Okay, great. Oh, from The Boys.
Yeah, Homelander.
Oh, he was.
You're like, that's who
I thought you meant a TV show.
No. The second I saw him on screen, I was like, it's Homelander.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I saw the character a lot, too.
Yeah.
More of the dark side of, like, the Void portion of it, but even on the light side of it, he's still kind of given Homelander.
I saw some people not like how he looked, and I just couldn't disagree more. When Valentina dressed him up as the blonde and like, because you want him to look that way. Homelander is such a perfect
example of this.
Yes, because you want him to look perfect and superhero and like
corporate.
Yes.
This is the American government's step towards corporatizing superheroism.
Yes, and then realizing that she can't control him. Like Valentina can't do anything. The kill switch doesn't work. And he becomes all-powerful and becomes the Void, where he, like, turns into this dark shadow, and those shadows were so cool.
Yes.
When they started eliminating the people.
Bomb vibe.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So Bob was a great villain, and even, like, with Valentina being the actual villain, and this whole thing, like, being saved by the power of, like, the characters and their ability to be together, I like that.
I think that is one of my big highs for this one is like the end of this is not a fight.
Yeah.
Your peak climax of this movie is not them fighting, it's them being a family. And I thought
Yeah.
that was fun.
It was, and the thing is too is it was such perfect timing because the big fights, like the Hulk fights and all of those things, they're not working right now. These big CGI
No.
fights, what we love about Marvel is this ability for togetherness, being a team of unique and different individuals coming together and doing something great. That's what we love about Marvel. That's what we
Yeah.
want to believe in. That's
And
like our childhood dream of what superheroes are.
them just being people. Like, if I look back at MCU movies, I do not remember very many fight scenes. I think Endgame would be the one that comes to mind if
Yeah.
you're like, what's your favorite Marvel fight? The Endgame, because
Yeah.
it's the biggest one. But like, I think of Andrew Garfield Spider-Man catching Tom Holland Spider-Man's MJ. Like, I think of that moment where uh Tom Holland like disappears into
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
abyss in his hands. I think about Tony dying. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think about the fight scenes. I think about all the human moments that really
Mm-hmm.
stuck with me through
Yes.
that. Finding out T'Challa's son
Yeah.
is living on this island in
Yeah.
Haiti. Like, those were the moments that I was like, oh wow, these really hit me and stuck with me.
Yeah.
And like their cute little hug,
Yeah.
that's staying.
Yeah. Well, like
The fight
when
scene from Brave New World is already gone.
yeah. Well, and like when Bob is fighting with the Void himself and he's just punching him on the ground after they've like beat the shame rooms and all of that stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
when Yelena realizes that this is what the Void wants is Bob to be aggressive and to punch him and to kill him and all of those things.
Yeah.
And the Sentry, the Void is like pushing back on them and not letting them come, and Yelena's fighting and they're all fighting through to try and get to him and give him a hug and everything. That was so powerful and it was so
Cute.
different and unique, and that stuck with me and I liked that.
Yeah.
And he's such an interesting, as we go into the new ones, we'll do end credit scene afterwards, but as we go into the new ones, now you have this ticking time bomb
Yeah.
of somebody.
Don't piss off Bob.
Bob is not allowed to become the Void. He's kind of terrible, but he also doesn't have a lot of control over that when he becomes the Sentry. You can't have Sentry without the Void. That's a problem, and
Yeah.
that is exciting.
Yeah, because like
That is complex and like
Bob
what's
can't
going to
use
happen?
his powers.
Yeah.
But what happens if the other Avengers come for his family?
I know this is
Do you
catastrophic.
just let Sentry free and then hope that you can hug the void out of him after?
And that makes you feel like what's going to happen. It's complex, It's cool, I like it. I care about Bob. I don't want him to turn evil. And I also like I don't know how I this makes me feel kind of like a bad person. It's questioning my morals because if somebody is attacking the new Avengers in a future movie and they're about to all die, I want to see the Void kill them all. Kill everybody to save the new Avengers, and that's complicated for me, and I like that.
I also like the idea of like, can you endear yourselves to Bob enough so he can exert just enough control over the void not to kill his family, but like literally everybody else.
Yeah.
Because I love that concept in literature and books and everything of like, you have the paramount pinnacle of bad men, but there's always that one person or people that they will never harm, and I love that concept of like the one little redeeming spark.
That's gonna be so interesting as we go
read
into
dark
future
romance.
Any other major highs that you want to talk about? Spoiler.
I think that's it. I think that really covers the things that really stuck around 2 weeks out.
Yeah. I do have some problems, and I want to talk about them.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. So, the biggest problem that I also have, and this kind of contradicts what I was saying, is the Sentry and the Void. First thing is I am struggling with the fact that I don't know how Bob got this powerful, and it can't be explained. Like, you build a kill switch, you experiment on him, you experiment on hundreds of people, and for some reason it works on Bob and he becomes the most powerful thing we may have seen ever. Like, he has Wanda powers.
Yeah, he is.
And why was he the only one? Why did it not work on everyone else? What was different about him? Why didn't the kill switch work? Like, these are questions that I have, and I have a hard time with us just having one of the most powerful things we've ever seen in the MCU have no
backstory
explanation. Yeah.
I kind of wonder if it was in one of the scrapped projects.
Maybe.
Because Marvel's cleaned house on projects.
Yeah.
They've canceled things I really wanted to see, for the record.
Yeah.
But they've canceled so much stuff recently. I
Yeah.
wonder if they explored that more in like a TV show that got axed.
It's possible. Because it really, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, or maybe it's future planned.
Yeah.
They explain.
Because, like, with
Bob.
Wanda, we know that she got experimented on with one of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
And she was in an end credit scene where that was fully, like at least that gave us something. Because an Infinity Stone is fucking powerful. Like, we don't even know what Valentina did to these people and why it only worked on one of them. And, like, it would make sense if it was just like, okay, you know, just like maybe it's mental illness or something like that, just like made him powerful. But to be that powerful, he's
world destroying. Yeah.
Yeah.
He can destroy a planet, no problem.
Right. So, like, how did we get there? And I'm a little caught up on that. I think there's potential for them to fledge it out.
Yeah, like I think they could. I don't know if they do.
Yeah.
I don't know if something got cut from the movie. That maybe
cut from the movie, TV, maybe like it could have been an end credit scene that they axed from a project kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it was an end credit scene that Valentina was in and experimenting and did something really specific there, and, like, that's there.
That just got cut.
But I don't love that it got a little bit unexplained.
I think that's probably one of my biggest complaints from this movie is there's a lot of things that just needed, like, 10 more seconds of explanation.
Because let's talk about Bucky's, Bucky became a Thunderbolt, which is awesome. We all loved it. We never wanted him to be a congressman. We're like, yeah, fucking get out of that thing. But he just did it, and there was no repercussions for him as a congressman becoming a vigilante.
You're an elected official, and you just went on a killing spree.
Like, you can't do that as a congressman. And then at the end of the movie, it's like he gets brought up, and then he's like, New Avengers. And then they all make the papers for a year because that's what, like, before the end credit scene. And then after that, 14 months later, he's just a new Avenger. And there's no repercussions for him.
Did you have to run a by-election to, like, get someone else in your seat? Did you have to finish your term? Are you still technically a congressman and you're just, like, doing one of them on the side? Because that seems really bad for your constituents either way.
And the perception of that makes it look like you're like, oh shit, we made him a congressman. We never should have done that. That sucked. And now we got to get out of that. That's what it looks like to the fans when you do that.
That's what it was. To me, anyway. Right? I was like, this is stupid.
I know, exactly. Like, we all thought it was stupid to begin with, and then you just made it look more stupid.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's been a really long time since I've seen Civil War or read the comics for Civil War. But was he not on the less government purview of the superhero side of that with Cap?
Yes.
Versus Tony, who was like, I think we should have some form of governing body that keeps us in check.
Uh-huh.
And then here's Bucky being fucking congressman. What? You tore the Avengers apart over this?
Yeah.
Well, Captain America tore the Avengers apart over this. But still, you were very firmly his bestie at that point.
Yeah.
What?
I know. So that went a little unchecked and made a little bit zero sense.
Yeah, I was so annoyed by that. I was like, this is stupid.
I'm happy with where Bucky went, and I blame Bucky for none of it.
Yeah, this is all in the writers.
But, like, the government should be doing something about this. He's a congressman. He can't just be going and doing vigilante shit whenever he wants.
Literally on payroll.
Without consequences.
Anything. Or, like, show him with, like, a tracking bracelet on or something.
I know. And especially because the MCU regularly explores these themes about, like, government versus not. That's what Civil War was all about.
Yeah.
That was what, like, Black Panther was all about, of, like, what are we responsible for as a government? What's okay, what's not okay, what's even against the law, what's not.
Spider-Man is huge. The whole first Spider-Man movie was about government contractors and taking over and the repercussions of that and the technology and not cleaning it up properly.
And how the cops want to get all of these superheroes and things like that off the street because they're damaging in a lot of ways. That's what the MCU does really well. And then Bucky becomes a congressman and then he is like, nah, no thanks. And then there's nothing. And that's really disappointing.
Yeah, I wanted to see, like, a conversation at least.
Exactly.
It just had to be a 30-second conversation of people being like, this probably wasn't a good idea, man.
Yeah. The other thing is that Ghost not getting a shame scene was low for me. Red Guardian, I was a little bit more forgiving about because Red Guardian wasn't in the vault.
Yeah,
the
fair.
4 of them that were in the vault was, 5 of them, Yelena, John Walker, Taskmaster, who died immediately.
Yep.
Ghost, and then Bob.
Yep.
And Taskmaster died, so they didn't get a shame scene. We got Yelena's, which was the little girl that she like tricked into coming into the woods and then getting shot while she was training for the Red Room. And John Walker, where he was like super absent father and husband and
Yeah.
all of that stuff, and he really sucked. We got those two. And John Walker, I think, got a lot of redemption because of like the movie was like, he's shitty. We agree that he's shitty. He gets comic relief throughout the whole movie because everyone just acknowledges that he's shitty.
Yeah.
And like, sorry, I'm tangenting here, but my favorite scene where I really started to get on board, it was towards the end where Yelena was like having her meltdown and she was being really mean to everybody and like
Yeah.
hurtful. And John's like, why aren't you being mean to me? And she's like, you already know you're a piece of shit. I don't need to be mean to you. And it was like, oh,
you hate yourself enough,
right? And I was like, perfect. That is exactly what John Walker needs to be redeemed.
Yeah.
Because it's just so obvious that he sucks, and like having that so blatantly pointed out with some humor was, they nailed that. Anyways, and then Ghost, who is like kind of this cool character, got some cool character development during Ant-Man and the Wasp. I was really curious about Ghost, and I think that she didn't get as much screen time as she deserved.
I wonder if it's because she doesn't really have a shame scene. Because it's not like you have the context of John being a shitty human or Yelena in the Red Room. Like, she was experimented on, but not because she was, like, in prison or anything. She was just experimented on.
Wasn't it because her father was trying to save her?
Maybe?
Because she was like really sick.
Again, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I
this is
didn't like
Ant-Man
that
and the
movie.
Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp is extremely mid phase 2 or 3. But I believe it was because she was sick and her father was trying to save her.
Okay.
So she had an interesting backstory, and I just found it odd that in the vault you had 3 characters and you only gave 2 of them shame. Maybe they didn't want it to be like a check off the box kind of vibe where it was like, okay, now we have Elena, now we have John, let's make sure we get Ghost. Like, it could have been that they could have filmed it and decided it was too long or wasn't good enough or something like that. I think it's minor, but I did find it weird that they only decided to use 2.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's talked about, like, they have mentioned, like, they talked about doing the shame scenes for everyone, and then they opted not to. And I wonder if it's just because there isn't anything in her past that's worth doing a shame scene.
Yeah.
For.
My hypothesis is that it would have felt too much like just checking a box.
Yeah, that too. Where you're like, everyone just needs to have their little shame moment.
Yeah.
Which, like, isn't necessarily what the movie was trying to do either.
Yeah. Okay, last low. And this one really bothered me because in the final scenes where all of the shadows, like super cool shadows, he's creating the void across the whole city, everybody's like losing. One of the most impactful scenes to me was when, I believe it was Red Guardian, saved that little girl from like the rock or whatever falling, and like I think it was Red Guardian, I don't remember for sure.
I was Red Guardian.
So he saves her and then she survives. 3 seconds later, the void gets her and she goes.
Yeah.
That, I was like, did they just do that? That was awesome. And then what they do is once Yelena steps out, right? Yelena comes out and she starts to go towards the void. I'm like, they're not all dead.
Yeah.
And that was just like, oh, there's no danger. Like, obviously there was danger. Obviously there's these shame rooms, but that feeling of like, oh my god, this man is literally destroying a city. He's killing everybody. This is crazy. This little girl, they just killed a little girl in the middle of the street after being saved. That's crazy. That is so impactful. Oh, they're not all dead. They're coming back.
Yeah.
At the end of this. That was like, oh my god, there's no danger.
The problem is if you think about all the superheroes that are presently in New York City, there can't be danger.
Yeah.
You would have killed Daredevil, you would have killed Kingpin, you would have killed Spider-Man. Yeah. Like, there's a good chance Doctor Strange is in the Sanctum Sanctorum. Yeah. Like, you can't actually kill the city of New York because you kill off 90% of your superheroes.
Yeah. Well, and that's like the thing where it's like, oh my god, there was danger and then there wasn't danger. And it, like, I think that ebb and flow is what really did it for me. Because if there's no real danger, the fact that you made me feel like there was that much danger where everyone was going to die, and then knowing that they were all going to come back at the end of it because as soon as Yelena stepped out, because you're like, they're gonna win for sure.
Yeah.
Was just like, oh.
That's fair.
But I did like this. I did like the way they did it. I liked the shame rooms. I liked the end battle scene. I liked that it wasn't. I liked that it wasn't completely reliant on CGI. Those were all positives for me. That danger thing, I was so like, oh, that sucked.
I didn't really notice that. I assumed they were dead anyway.
Okay.
I think for me, because I was like, the way they were disappearing was weird.
Yeah, it was.
So I was like, I don't think they're dead.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be doing like.
Maybe they never meant for you to think that they were dead, just like disappearing. Yeah.
Because it kind of looked like he was kidnapping people.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was.
Like,
in their own shame.
Going into their shame rooms.
Yeah. Any other lows? Spoiler?
No, I'm happy to go into the end credit scenes.
End credit scenes. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have one question.
It's my stupid collection of books.
You're getting more books?
Yeah, it's a bunch of pre-orders.
You better keep that on the episode. We need to have an intervention.
In my defense,
you've had so many books ordered to this house recently.
Have I?
Well, you just got.
Okay, in my defense, I bought those a year ago on Kickstarter.
Daria, there's like 2 cardboard boxes just full of books on the counter.
That's like 3 months worth, though.
Oh.
Because we haven't filmed a me unboxing books thing since.
That's true.
Before we started Zodiac Academy.
We will film one of those soon.
I have been
and you all can decide if she has a problem or not.
Yeah, we should film that the next time we film an episode, regardless of what episode it is, because I need to reorganize the entire section of the bookcases.
Maybe we should do an episode on, like, an unhaul. Like, go through these books.
None of them are actually getting unhauled, for the record. Most of these books have been with me for more than 20 years, and they will stay with me till the day I die.
Okay, noted.
That entire fantasy section has moved across in provinces with me.
That's true.
Over 20 times.
Okay, I have one question about the end credits scene. In 14 months, why have we not replaced John Walker's taco shield?
Yeah, I don't get that.
How still has a taco shield. It got bent by Sentry.
Yeah.
And 14 months later,
still bent.
He still has bent taco shield. Just get the man a new shield.
But I'm like, now I want to see him use it though, because like maybe he found a strategic advantage to it somehow. Like maybe it's useful. That's why he has a taco shield.
Maybe.
Because like, there has to be more than that, just comedy, please.
Right. Oh my goodness. So anyways, that was the big thing. They do kind of have an argument during the end credit scene about how they're the new Avengers, and the other group is calling themselves the Real Avengers, which the Real Avengers is also a comic book group. Mm-hmm. There's like Real Avengers, Dark Avengers. There's a lot of
Avengers.
But Real Avengers is something that I'm kind of like focusing on because they said Real Avengers, and that's a thing. So yeah, they might be calling Anthony Mackie's, Sam Wilson's Avengers the Real Avengers. And so now, 14 months later, we have these 2 groups. We've got the Thunderbolts, New Avengers, and Sam Wilson's group, which are the Real Avengers. And they're arguing about who is the better Avengers, who's the actual Avengers. The government says Thunderbolts. The rest of the world kind of says Sam Wilson. We don't really know who else is going to be with Sam Wilson.
I don't think it's been confirmed. Like, you could look at the cast list for Doomsday and kind of assume who's going to fall.
I think Ant-Man's going to be in there.
Yeah, I think technically Spider-Man might fall in there. Thor, I think, was on the list.
Thor might be on that list, yeah.
Meh.
Well, it's going to be interesting because, first of all, just from, like, a actor standpoint, we have Anthony Mackie versus Florence Pugh. I'm sorry. That's not even close.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but Marvel fumbled the bag so hard creating Anthony Mackie as Captain America, because he is not, and the way that character is set up is not a leading man for a group. Like, he just, you couldn't get me invested in him as Captain America leading the Avengers. So I'm going to be rooting for the Thunderbolts on that one.
Yeah. Okay. So the internet says The notable names that could be on Sam's team is Captain Marvel, Hulk, Hawkeye, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man.
The only person on that list I'd actually go to war for is Spider-Man.
Yeah, but also, like, that's kind of a problematic list if these two are going to be battling. The Thunderbolts are not powerful.
No, you've got
Two super soldiers.
Two super soldiers.
Florence Pugh, who got trained in the
No,
Red Room.
what's his face is a super soldier too. John's a super soldier.
Yeah, so
3.
Bucky and John.
And Red Guardian.
Oh, that's right. Okay, 3 super soldiers. Yelena, who got trained in the Red Room. Ghost, who can disappear for
a minute.
And Sentry, who can't use his powers.
Unless we all want to die.
Versus Captain Marvel, Hulk, Hawkeye, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Sam Wilson. Potentially. This isn't but like even 2 of those.
That's a lot.
Like even Spider-Man and the Hulk or Captain Marvel. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Anyways, that's going to be a problem. I'm curious about that. But anyways, I just don't know that the strength of Anthony Mackie's, like, that's a really tall order for him.
Yeah. And like, this is not a knock on Anthony Mackie in any way, shape, or form. I just don't think...
He was such a good... Like, he's such a good supporting character as Falcon. I haven't seen him be a leading man the way that I would impress me.
Yeah, like, I haven't watched him like I watched Steve Rogers in his independent films and went, wow, it was a really good time. I'm upset I paid money for Brave New World, if I'm being honest, because I really didn't enjoy that film. I think I had expectations for it going in that I didn't realize I had, and I sat there and I was like, I'm bored, this plot makes no sense, I guess I'm kind of getting some Hulk out of this, but, like, not even good Hulk. I am the biggest Star Wars fan. I love Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
That was shitty.
Well, I think it's hard too when you have to change actors as well. Like with Brave New World, because oh my god, God forbid me, I forgot his name. The actor that played him before he had died, and Harrison Ford. Naturally, when you get a new actor for things, there's disconnect, right? Because you don't know because there's also a lot of time between these two movies, between the original Hulk and Brave New World. You don't know how much of it is actor change and how much of it is character growth. Yeah. And it's really difficult to tell the difference between those two. And with that being a really main point of the movie, that was really hard.
And like, the fight scene at the end was cool.
It was. I liked the fight scene. That was a big high for me.
Marvel's done better ones, in my opinion. Like, I think when I thought, wow, Hulk, Captain America, it was not that.
Well, the thing is that, like, it's a power thing. The Hulk is so much more powerful than Sam Wilson. He should have been able to smush him in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't make the fight scene last that long because it's like, if this lasts too long, Sam dies.
Which is totally fair.
Yeah.
Which is why I would have preferred a super soldier. Captain America did that instead.
I know. So, yeah, I don't know. This is going to be really interesting. I'm excited for it. Now, one thing that I am seeing online, because the Fantastic Four, they're coming. Their ship is on its way to Earth in this universe. So that's really exciting. It makes me excited for Fantastic Four. But there's a lot of speculation because in the trailer for Fantastic Four, there is a shot of the ship with in the background a world that is being destroyed. Yeah. That ship has 3 prongs on its back. Yeah. This ship in Thunderbolts end credit scene has 4. Oh. So we don't know if that's but what a big miss.
Yeah, especially if, like, you're Marvel and you know someone's going to go through your movie frame by frame and analyze every single minute second of it.
So I'm seeing theories that this Fantastic Four that's coming
is not the Fantastic Four from our movie. Interesting.
Imagine if they just put, like, John Krasinski.
I hope John Krasinski. I hope he walks out of that ship and was like, "Hi guys,"
in Doomsday or some shit like that.
Yeah. Fuck Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm excited. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by Marvel again. That is a huge win for me. It's been a long frickin' time. Yes. It wasn't a perfect movie. I'm not gonna pretend that it was.
But it was way better than anything else they've shit out in the past, like, almost 5 years. I think the last one I really, really loved was No Way Home.
Yeah, and, like, even some of these movies that I remember loving, like the Iron Man trilogy, The first one was really, really good. The rest of the trilogy was not that strong. I have problems with those movies.
Yeah.
I still remember them with such fondness, and I love them so much, and I think that's how I'm going to remember Thunderbolts. I left this caring about characters, especially caring about characters that I really didn't like leading up to
Yeah.
it. Minus Yelena, always loved Yelena, but
Yeah.
like Red Guardian I had qualms with. John Walker I hated. Valentina I wasn't even super impressed with, and now I care about Valentina I don't care about, but I loved her character.
Yeah.
And I love this new Avengers. I'm excited, and I haven't felt that way in a long time with MCU. And please don't hurt me again.
I know. Please don't mess this one
Oh my
up.
god, just Doomsday and Fantastic Four just have so much potential, and I'm really hoping.
I really need them to be good. I've barely been to like I went to see Sinners and that was phenomenal. Highly
I still haven't
recommend.
seen it, but I do want to see it. I'm not good with scary movies and thrillers, but I do hear that I should maybe watch it.
Yeah, I wouldn't really necessarily call it scary.
Okay, well, our opinion on scary is very different.
That's true. It's more musically, um, in a way. But yeah, I just like in general, I think movies for the past few years have been really garbage. I haven't seen very many I've liked, and I got to see two of them in less than a week that I enjoyed, and I was pretty happy about that.
It's a great win. That's a great win. Okay,
Yeah.
anything else to chat through?
No, I think that's it. Feeling pretty good.
Okay, thanks so much for coming. We'll see you next time.
Well, back to our regularly scheduled book content in 2 weeks.
Catch you then. Bye!